Hello everyone. So, 2021's off to a great start, huh? Listen guys, I know there's a lot going on right now. We're almost a year into this global pandemic. Social and political tensions are boiling over here in the US following the elections. And beloved comic book heroine Wonder Woman is a rapist now, who doesn't care at all about deleting an innocent person's consciousness from existence just so she can have her dead boyfriend back. Times are tough. What we need now more than ever is something to bring us all together. What we need now is a sci-fi show so utterly terrible and bafflingly stupid it could help us forget our worries and woes for a while. What we need now is to remember our humanity by ripping apart a miniseries written by someone who clearly doesn't understand how human beings work. Now more than ever, it's time for unity. It's time for healing. It's time for DEVS Episode 3.
I think it's an incredible exploration of so many things. I mean, there are very few times you can say it's a show about everything, and it is. It's about everything. It also has everything in it. It is a tech thriller. It's a love story.
It's a musical.
It's a musical. It's everything.
It's everything.
Episode 3 begins with yet another mood piece completely disconnected from the story, but this time it's comprised entirely of images from the DEVS projection computer.
Lots of historical places and moments, some are obvious what they're supposed to be, others are not, and eventually there are some images from different points in the show.
It looks really neat. We'll give them credit for that. The VFX team did an excellent job, but it's purely for the audience's sake.
No one at DEVS is pulling these seemingly random locations and moments in history up, at least not that we can see. And if they are, why are they skipping around to all these disconnected things in such short succession? It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't further the story. All it does is look neat and fill time.
Back at DEVS, Katie walks in on Stuart and the kid watching a projection.
What are you doing?
Working on sound wave data?
I mean, what are you watching?
That is Arthur Miller and Marilyn Monroe having sex.
It's a celebrity sex tape to end all celebrity sex tapes.
Really? That's the celebrity sex tape to end all celebrity sex tapes?
I could think of at least a dozen or so other ones that would be more popular if available and more talked about than Arthur Miller and Marilyn Monroe. I'm honestly surprised this kid even knows who the fuck Arthur Miller is.
Surely, even if we're keeping with Marilyn Monroe, a projection of her in JFK, if it exists, would be the one, right? I shouldn't be getting hung up on this, it's just that this show is so full of these lines, both trivial and non-trivial, that don't make any sense if you actually stop to think about them. Katie is pretty annoyed with this particular use of the technology.
Why do male techs always feel the need to caricature themselves? Step 1, create a new technology that reinvents the nature of human existence. Step 2, use it for porn.
To thine own self be true.
Wait a second, didn't you just say an episode or two ago that this technology changes nothing and that's the whole point?
If it's true, it changes absolutely nothing. In a way, that's the point.
Then why did you just say this technology redefines the nature of human existence?
Step 1, create a new technology that reinvents the nature of human existence.
I thought it didn't change anything. Pick one, you can't have both.
According to Katie,
We have 2 fucking rules, guys. 1, we don't look forwards, we only look back.
yes, you heard that right. They are capable of looking into the future, but they don't.
Wait a second. What's that behind your ear? Is that a... Yes, it is. It's a pin. Let's do this. Let's take the pin and put it in this conversation. Boop.
2, we don't invade privacy.
This line about not using the technology to invade privacy is super rich once you see how invasively they use the technology later on in the show.
Anyway, Katie is obviously disgusted and offended by all this for some reason. I mean, the other day she lamented about how difficult it is to unlearn the moral aversions people have to murder, but apparently she draws the line at invasion of privacy. Murdering someone to protect trade secrets? Good. Watching people in the past have sex? Very, very bad.
They're having sex, Katie.
And that would be the invasion of privacy.
Hardly a person exists that didn't come into being because two other people had sex. As far as human behavior goes, that puts it on a par with breathing. Your hang-ups are not my hang-ups.
Put a sign in your bedroom window, the chair you have there, where you put clothes. Don't feel invaded. Nobody has a private life anymore.
She tells them to
Turn it off. Scratch some other geek itch. Do the grassy knoll.
And they're done that. It was Oswald.
Okay, that's cute and all, but I don't think this show realizes the Pandora's box they've opened with this technology that throwaway lines can't hand-wave away.
With this technology, they could answer some of the most important questions about the past. They could set the record straight about certain key moments in history, even prehistory.
They could put to rest certain popular conspiracy theories, or provide evidence for others.
They could finally discover how and why they built the pyramids at Giza or Machu Picchu.
They could find out whether or not OJ really killed his wife. He did.
They could do so much, but outside of this one solitary line about the JFK assassination,
It was Oswald.
they never do. For example, let's go back to Jesus. They saw Jesus on the cross, right?
For some reason, they're sure that that blurry figure being crucified was Jesus, so I guess we'll just assume that it was.
So they proved Jesus was a real person and that he was crucified, but they didn't go try and find evidence or the absence of evidence of any of his miracles or his resurrection, etc. They could, if they wanted to, prove or disprove the supernatural claims of Christianity and every other world religion. But I guess Forrest, Katie, and his team just don't think that sort of thing would be worthwhile because they literally never do it. So you remember that exchange back in episode 1 between Katie and Sergey?
This changes everything. If it's true, it literally changes every single thing.
No.
Well, in the hands of real human beings, this technology would be truly revolutionary, but I guess that in the hands of fictional characters written by Alex Garland, it actually does change nothing.
Anyway, next, we see Lily sitting on the edge of her bed, but this scene goes nowhere and instead cuts away to a helicopter landing at Amaya. The helicopter brings a senator for a private meeting with Forrest. According to the senator,
My Senate Subcommittee on Tech Oversight has scheduled its hearing. I'm going to call you in, Forrest.
Why?
Your company didn't just take the lead in the quantum computer race. You demolished your competitors. They have nothing. You have everything. And I have questions.
So Senator Lady here plans to call Forrest to testify before Congress because Amaya has been really successful in the realm of quantum computing, and she has questions about that. Okay. Now, I'm not sure what questions she could have about their success that alone warrant being brought to testify before Congress, but alright, she has questions, so let's hear what they are.
What are you working on in the section of your company known as DEVS?
DEVS means development. Every tech company has a development division.
Yes, but what specifically are you developing?
Wait, what? Why is your first question about what their R&D department is currently working on? I thought you came here to ask questions about how they were able to blow past the competition to get where they are now, not where they're going from here. And what does this have to do with the purpose of the Senate Oversight Committee, exactly? Typically, when tech companies are brought before a Senate subcommittee to answer questions, it has to do with stuff like political censorship, data privacy, fake news, advertising and monetization practices, cooperation with law enforcement, and things like that, not trade secrets.
I may be wrong, but I didn't think that companies like Google and Facebook were brought before the Senate to be asked, so what's that next big thing you're working on, huh?
We're exploring the potential of our quantum computer system.
It's a little vague. Vague sounds like you don't like attention. Why is that?
Well, maybe he's being vague because those are trade secrets, and having trade secrets in a tech company with many competitors like Amaya is perfectly normal. Honestly, lady, do you actually think he's going to tell you exactly what they're working on so you can blab about it and potentially let other competitors know what they're doing so they can start working on the same thing? And what good would knowing what they're developing do you exactly?
It distracts us from our work.
The distractions are trivial in comparison to your work?
Yes.
Isn't that the perfect argument as to why your company needs government oversight?
What? No, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. Who wrote this? Okay, so let's recap. She says, I'm gonna call you to testify before Congress. Why? Because I have questions. Okay, what questions? I wanna know your super secret trade secrets for some reason. No, those are secret.
Well, isn't that just the perfect argument for why you need government oversight?
No.
If anything, it's a pretty compelling argument against government oversight.
But you don't want oversight, Senator. You want control. You want my systems for the NSA.
We want your systems for America.
What the hell is this conversation? So apparently this is all about getting Amaya's products and technologies for use in the government. I guess their quantum computers aren't available to the government?
Well, then who are they available to? Because Amaya's a massive and incredibly successful tech company, right? Well, then what do they make? What products, what services, what technologies do they make that are available to the public? What do they do other than devs? We hear throwaway lines about other divisions Amaya has, but we never see how anything they've made is used or applied in the world. How did they make all of this money in the first place?
The implication is that the government can't make use of Amaya's tech, but surely if Amaya sold quantum computers, the government could buy them, right?
Or if Amaya provides services using their own private quantum computers, then surely they could contract out work to the government, right? If that's the case, I'm really not sure why Forrest doesn't do that, but apparently he just doesn't. The senator then launches into a monologue about how everyone is afraid of tech companies.
People become scared of the tech companies, Forrest. Really scared. AI is going to create 60% unemployment. Instagram makes people feel like shit about their lives. Twitter makes them feel reviled. Facebook destroyed democracy.
Jesus Christ. Facebook did not destroy democracy. That's one of the stupidest lines I've ever heard in my life. If this line is referring to the 2016 US presidential election,
or the 2020 presidential election for that matter,
that's not the destruction of democracy. That's democracy delivering a result you didn't like. Get over it.
If the line is referring to fake news and Russian propaganda on Facebook, then they're vastly overestimating the reach that propaganda actually had.
If the line is meant to refer more broadly to the siloing of information with algorithms such that people only see what they agree with ideologically online and thus making their vote less informed, that's A, not unique to Facebook, it's also true of Google and other companies, and B, it's not unique to the internet age, seeing how television news and newspapers have been doing the same thing since they've been around.
God, I hate this line so much. It's not even the only stupid line in that monologue, but we should really just keep moving.
They use you. They need you. But they don't like you anymore.
So after having to sit through this show several times to make these reviews, we've noticed that Alex Garland really likes to make the female characters he writes insufferable. This lady is a prime example, but it also applies to Katie, especially her moralizing rants like the one from earlier in this episode about invading privacy and how male techs are a bunch of pigs.
We have two fucking rules, guys. 1, we don't look forwards, we only look back. 2, we don't invade privacy.
But this goes for Lily too, and how she demands to be let into Jamie's apartment even though she's acting like a lunatic.
What the fuck?
Let me in. Now. You need to not talk for a moment and just listen to me.
I don't know why Alex Garland keeps writing these smug, self-righteous female characters who act like bitches and never get called out for it. Maybe he thinks that's what strong female characters are. Maybe being lectured to and walked all over by this type of woman is his kink. Who's to say? Regardless, it makes them insufferable to watch.
Your company is an American success story, showing again how we lead the world in tech. While we understand and respect the competitive nature of your industry and the requirement for trade secrets.
No, you don't. You don't respect their need for trade secrets at all. Want to know how I know? Because you're about to ask him to reveal those very secrets to you again.
Could you shed a little light on what you're working on in DEVS?
Also, why is she back on DEVS again? I thought this was all about getting Amaya's systems for use at the NSA. Why is she not asking about their standard quantum computer systems?
Is what Amaya's doing in DEVS the only thing she's interested in acquiring for government use?
It really does seem like DEVS is all Amaya does, to the point that I keep wanting to refer to the company itself as DEVS.
Eventually, Forrest decides to toss her a bone and very loosely describe DEVS.
We're using our quantum system to develop a prediction algorithm.
Predict what? Stock markets? Market trends?
Sure.
The weather?
And that kind of thing.
It seems quite obvious from his behavior that he's withholding quite a bit, and possibly even lying to her.
But look how confident and self-assured she is after he says that.
So you're working on a prediction algorithm for the weather. There's no reason why it should be hard for us to work together.
What? That's all she wanted to know? Just a cryptic hint at what they're developing next? She acts like, oh, come on, was that so hard? As if that's all she was really after this whole time. Wow.
So, is it gonna rain tomorrow?
Doesn't look like it.
Oh, and apparently that's the end of the scene. Does this mean she got what she wanted and now she isn't going to call him to testify before Congress? Was the plan really to threaten him with being brought before Congress just so she could leverage a super vague and cryptic hint as to what the DEVS project is out of him? Was that really the plan? What good could that possibly do you, lady? You didn't get answers about how Amaya blew away the competition. You didn't get access to Amaya's systems for government use. You got absolutely nothing valuable from this conversation, lady. Why are you acting like you won? Next, we get some shots of busy tech employees working on their computers. Lily walks in, and there's a really strange sound design cue.
What the hell is even that?
That's one of the garbled DEVS projection sounds, right? I have no earthly idea what it's doing here. I guess the sound designers thought this shot was too boring without it.
Anyway, she walks in on some nerds having a nerd conversation and she tries to join in, but it's clear she's very distracted. Her friend asks the others for some privacy, and then Lily says,
I do really need to talk to someone.
I'm right here.
Can I talk to you?
Of course.
I mean safely. Safely. I can trust you.
Will you please stop doing that to your hands?
I can trust you.
Yes, you can. Totally.
Can we talk outside?
And so they go outside, presumably where no one from Amaya could be listening.
Lily tells the unnamed friend that she thinks Sergei may not have committed suicide.
Everyone believes Sergei committed suicide, but I think it might not be true.
What do you mean? What isn't true?
I saw the film of what happened, but I think it was fake. A cover story.
I'm sorry, I just need to understand exactly what you mean. Are you saying that Sergei might still be alive?
I don't know, maybe that. Maybe something else.
They found a body, Lil.
It was burned to shit. Who knows if it was him? It could be anyone.
The friend is skeptical and correctly points out that you can identify burned bodies, but Lily goes even further.
But who's doing the identifying? CIA?
No, not the CIA, the police. The coroner.
And what if they're part of it?
Part of what?
But before Lily can start ranting about how DEVS is gonna turn the friggin' frogs gay, she gets interrupted by her friend Jen approaching them. Apparently she's cool, so Lily continues.
So what were you gonna say about who you spoke to?
I can't tell you too much. But it's international, okay? It involves international forces. It's fucked up.
Her friend tries to be kind about it, but you can tell she thinks Lily is just in shock.
Okay, I'm not making any judgment about anything you're saying. I'm not saying any of it's wrong.
It's not fucking wrong.
Sure. But even if everything you're worried about is true, you're still someone who has suffered a terrible shock, a terrible loss. And I think you need to talk to someone who can help you with that.
She recommends Lily see a therapist, but Lily says,
I'll speak to Kenton.
The head of security?
And her friend Jen agrees for some reason.
I think that's a good idea, Lils.
This is the kind of thing you should be telling Kenton. It's above our pay grade, right?
Yeah. He'll know what to do.
Jen, mind if I talk to you a moment?
So unnamed friend pulls Jen aside and asks her why she's going along with Lily's conspiracy theories, and Jen says this.
Okay, look. I didn't want to get into this, but me and Dale's go back. This isn't the first time, okay? She's had episodes. Stuff like this before.
Stuff like what?
Schizophrenia.
Apparently Lily has schizophrenia and has had episodes in the past. This is the first we're seeing about it, but apparently Jen thinks they should play along to help her get the help she needs. Which, I think it's important to point out, is not what you should do with someone who is actually suffering from schizophrenia and or paranoid delusions. You don't want to call them out directly to their face, but it's also really not a good idea to encourage and play along with their delusions as if they're real. But nonetheless, this lady, who I assume is Lily's supervisor, agrees to play along with these delusions and make the call to Kenton.
Here we see Kenton having a chat with the senator's security guard. Said security says he's bored out of his mind on this detail and misses the adrenaline of being in the military.
All day. Every day. I am bored out of my fucking mind. Seriously. Don't you miss it?
The uniform?
Fucking adrenaline.
Honestly, can't say I do.
He gets a call to meet with Lily and leaves to go do so.
So I got a message from your supervisor that you wanted to talk to me personally. Do you want to talk in private?
No, I want her to stay.
Okay. So, I'm here. Go ahead.
Lily tells Kenton about Sergei being a spy and about the spy she met with the other day.
It's about Sergei. There's stuff about him you don't know.
Like what?
Like he wasn't what he said he was. He was working for someone, and I met a man yesterday who knew all about it.
Who was that?
A spy. An operative.
An operative?
Yes, Russian. And I don't think Sergei committed suicide. I think he was murdered.
Murdered by who?
I think it was them.
The operatives, the Russians.
Yes. They were trying to trick me. They were trying to recruit me.
Then Lily goes off the deep end, rambling about seeing the Fibonacci sequence everywhere like she's Jim Carrey in The Number 23.
A few years ago, I was working with a startup. I was on the encryption team, and I started to see a whole bunch of things that made no sense. Like, I look at strings that should have been RNGs, but they obviously weren't RNGs. There were Fibonacci sequences everywhere. I mean, fucking everywhere.
What's...
She was seeing a pattern in what should have been random numbers.
And you get the same pattern in nature, like numbers of petals on a flower, number of segments in a shell. And at the time, I had a boyfriend who had a dragon flower tattoo over his arm and back. And I counted the petals, okay? And it was 5 and 8. And the dragon had 21 scales. And that's the same fucking thing.
Same as what?
Same as Sergei.
I'm not following.
Are you telling me this is all a coincidence?
Lily.
No. Just answer the question. Can this be a coincidence? Jen, you remember what happened in Brooklyn?
Yes.
And now Sergei, right?
Right.
So? I mean, do not fucking do this, Jen! You were there back then!
Lily, please, yes, I was there.
Don't look at me like you think I'm crazy! I'm telling you, I met the fucking Russian operative yesterday, right by Golden Gate Bridge in broad daylight. Jesus fucking Christ, Jen, I swear to God if you're not gonna believe me.
I didn't say I didn't believe you.
Fuck! I need that.
Boy, that escalated escalated quickly.
Well, that was a lot, but we're gonna hold off on unpacking that for a bit. Let's see where this goes.
Outside, Lily decides to walk onto the ledge of the building like she's suicidal, and as she does, Forrest and the senator round the corner having another conversation that makes no sense if you really think about it.
Nobody expects technological progress to be reversed. It never is. I think the equivalent is the Industrial Revolution, which makes my job to stop the Luddites from smashing the looms.
Good to know, Senator. So you'd continue to protect my tech company even if I stopped raising money for your campaign?
Don't be cute.
Likewise.
So he's been raising money for her election campaign already? Why would he do that? I thought he didn't give a shit about politics and America and all that. It would make more sense if she was here to convince him to support her so that she can protect him from the public scrutiny in a blackmail-y sort of way. But the implication is he's been backing her already. And that doesn't fit with his explicitly stated lack of interest in political affairs. It's also not clear why he's financially supporting someone who's threatening to harangue him in a Senate subcommittee in an effort to get him to reveal trade secrets.
This doesn't make any sense!
Okay, whatever. I guess it's just filler lines before this can happen.
My campus is not...
But...
Hold on. Sir?
Lily Chan is on the ledge outside your office.
What?
Get her down safely right fucking now.
Kenton goes out to get Lily and talk her off the ledge.
Okay, Lily. Mind telling me what we're doing out here?
Just needed fresh air.
Air's not fresh enough on the ground.
Needed to get out.
Well, we're out. And I guess the air is fresh up here, so let's not make any sudden movements in the ground direction.
Back inside, Jen uses the opportunity to steal something, data of some kind from Kenton's computer. Kenton tells Lily he believes her, that Sergei may have been a Russian operative killed by the Russians.
Everything you told me about the Russian operatives and Sergei, you probably feel that people won't believe you. Maybe they'll think you're crazy, but actually, I do believe you. I think it all may be true. Man, it's a crazy world. The shit that happens is weirder than anyone ever expects, ever imagines. Well, that's what people like you and me know. That nothing is stranger than reality. Nothing.
Yeah.
In the meantime, you see those people down there? They're worried you're gonna jump. I'm not, because I think we understand each other, but they have their hearts in their mouths. They're frightened. I think the right thing to do is for us to just walk back down this ledge, crawl back onto that walkway, and you tell me whatever else it is you need me to know. Okay?
Okay.
Once that's all settled, we see the senator making her goodbyes with Forrest.
Quite the day.
Yeah.
I'll be in touch.
That's it? No questions about why one of their employees looked like they were going to commit suicide on their campus a few days after another employee successfully committed suicide on their campus? That doesn't raise any more questions about what's going on here? That doesn't provide you with any more leverage to get information out of him? Well, I guess not, because the senator just says,
I'll be in touch.
This is the last we'll ever hear about congressional oversight or public attention and scrutiny. That whole B-plot in this episode was a completely nonsensical mess that accomplished nothing in terms of drama, stakes, world building, or character. It was a complete and total waste of time in every conceivable way. So the senator's team leaves, and we get this rather lame cover of the famous Fifth Dimension song.
This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, the age of Aquarius.
I don't know why they didn't just use the original, because it's so much better.
This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, age of Aquarius.
But maybe they couldn't afford the royalties. Next, we see Jen and Lily driving home, breathing a huge sigh of relief and celebrating like their plan worked. More on that in a minute. We get more shots of the devs team not working on anything interesting, and then we're back at Amaya as Kenton approaches Forrest.
Forrest says,
That was very close, Kenton. It nearly fucked the universe.
Let's put a pin in that too.
We have an ace card with Lily Chan.
What ace card?
She's schizophrenic.
And we didn't know.
Oh, she hid it. Undeclared on her medical forms in case she couldn't get the job. But it's cool. We can play that card anytime. Anything she says about us is dismissible. Anything that happens to her is explainable. And tomorrow we set her up with a shrink, one of ours. That keeps her both at arm's length and under observation. It's all okay, sir. We're still on your tram lines.
Meanwhile,
holy motherfucking shit! That was Oscar level, Lils. Like, Jesus.
Oh, fuck off. That was not Oscar-level acting. Even once you know that she was pretending to be that worked up and crazy, it still seems forced.
So apparently this was the plan all along. Lily and Jen hatched a plan to first convince her supervisor that Lily is being really paranoid and has a history with schizophrenia in order to convince her to schedule a meeting with Kenton to play along with her delusions. Then they plan to tell Kenton that Lily suspects Sergei was a spy and that she met with his Russian handler.
I don't know why it's in her interest to show her cards to Kenton like this when she thinks he's responsible for Sergei's death, but okay.
Then go on a crazy rant about paranoid pattern finding, so he thinks she's legitimately crazy, and then go out onto the ledge like she's suicidal just long enough so that Jen can use Kenton's computer to find and steal exactly what she's looking for in a matter of minutes because on said computer, apparently nothing is password protected.
This plan is so perfect, it's retarded.
As long as it works, right?
And that Fibonacci stuff? The tattoo?
You told them I had a psychiatric history.
Yep, and they bought it, 100%. I mean, I fucking bought it.
Do you think they can check?
I think they can try, but where do they look? You could have been in Canada or Mexico for all they know.
Wait a minute, didn't you say over and over again in there that this happened while you were working at a startup in Brooklyn?
In Brooklyn. In Brooklyn.
Why would you have been in Mexico or Canada? If she listed her previous employment history at that startup, and if she were diagnosed or hospitalized in Brooklyn, Amaya could absolutely find that information out if they tried hard enough. Any private investigator worth their salt could find out that this was a lie.
Anyway, she got what she was after, so later that night she pays another visit to Jamie. But she's still an insane weirdo, so she climbs onto his balcony again instead of just knocking on the front door. Or even calling him to say that she was coming over, even though he specifically said he was there for her if she needs help.
So this is your new thing then? Peering outside windows?
God, this writing is so terrible.
Why would he describe what she just did as peering outside windows? She wasn't standing outside the window looking in like a peeping Tom, she just climbed up and waltzed right in. And she says,
Kind of is.
As if this is just like what she did earlier today, when it isn't at all.
You just know that Alex Garland thought this exchange was super clever, too.
Anyway, Jamie's basically fine with it. He doesn't tell her to call next time or use the front door like a normal person, or even not to barge into his house without permission.
He's just there to do whatever she asks, like the little beta cuck he is.
We swears to do what you want. We swear.
You need to not talk for a moment and just listen to me. Sergei was missing 24 hours after leaving Amaya. In that time, he didn't use his phone. He didn't use a credit card. The only information anyone has is the film of him walking back into Amaya and setting himself on fire. I have all the security footage from that night right here, but I can't watch it alone.
Hello? Why don't you watch it with Jen? You know, the one who you can trust to be completely on your side. The one who's probably super curious about what's on it. The one who just risked her job to help you steal it.
The footage isn't encrypted or anything. She's just gonna watch it with Jamie because she either forgot Jen exists or she's hella lonely and just wants an excuse to hang out with her estranged ex-boyfriend. Jamie remarks about how weird this request is, and Lily acknowledges how weird it is, but they're both gonna do it anyway.
You want us to watch the man you left me for burn himself to death. Together. That's transcendently weird, Lily.
I know.
Jamie, who apparently lives in darkness all the time, doesn't bother turning any lights on for his company, but goes and grabs an old computer from his closet.
He opens it up and removes the Wi-Fi card and says,
Okay, Wi-Fi's ultra dead. We're unseeable.
What? You're just gonna watch some video files, right? Why would you need to turn your Wi-Fi off? Who that would know or care that you're watching copies of Amaya's security footage would be monitoring Jamie's computer anyway? Also, we didn't see you do this before hacking the Russian spy messaging app, even though that might have actually been a good time to do it. But I guess you can't be too careful when you're playing MP4 files nobody knows you made copies of off of a flash drive.
So they watch the footage and see Sergei light himself on fire and burn to death.
Fuck.
I'm not sure what she was expecting to see, but I guess it's a lucky thing she came to Jamie because he does see something.
Jamie apparently has a really good eye because he notices that the flames have been essentially copy and pasted.
What is it?
Look. Right here. Right here. The flames. They're the same. Every frame.
The flames wouldn't be identical like that if they were real and organic, so therefore, they must be computer generated. Okay, that's a neat way of figuring that out, but it bothers me a little that Jamie is the one to notice it instead of Lily. For one, Lily already knows or deeply suspects that it might be fake, but perhaps more importantly, it's yet another narrative opportunity for our main character to do something smart or clever, completely squandered. She doesn't hack the messaging app herself, she gets Jamie to do it.
She doesn't steal the footage, Jen does.
She doesn't notice that the footage is fake herself, she gets Jamie to do it. Wouldn't it be nice if the main character got to be clever once in a while?
Granted, the plan to convince Amaya that she's crazy was probably her idea, but we'll see how smart that plan actually was and how well that works out for her later. So Lily and Jamie come to the realization that Sergei definitely died, but the suicide was fake.
If you saw a physical body, and it's a digital fire effect that allows for a possibility.
The body is real. The suicide is fake. They murdered him.
It still blows my mind that the folks at Amaya thought the best way to convince everyone Sergei killed himself instead of being murdered was to fake him burning himself alive. You see, in the movie The Hunt for the Wilder People, a comedy film written and directed by Taika Waititi,
You hungry? That's a silly question, isn't it? Look at you.
a kid attempts to convince the Child Protective Service agents looking for him that he committed suicide, and he does so by attempting to stage a scene where he burned himself to death. This is presented as a humorously over-the-top way of going about this. But in DEVS, Forrest and Kenton unironically attempt a very similar plan, presumably because they both have the critical thinking skills of a child.
Why not have him hang himself? Or jump off of a freeway? Or jump in front of a car on a freeway? Or take some pills? Hell, he could even shoot himself. Literally anything else. A toaster in a bathtub. It's so fucking stupid.
After that realization, we're treated to what really happened at DEVS that night, but in reverse for no good reason. They sure burned Sergei's dead body there, but they had a team of people helping this time.
You see, previously when it was only Kenton doing the murdering, and later in the show when it's only Kenton doing the dirty work of covering all this stuff up, I thought it was a little dumb that it was just one middle-aged guy doing all this, but at least the justification could be that this way, fewer people know about it, and fewer people have to keep their mouths shut, right? But apparently, that's not the case. And at least 4 other people, in addition to Kenton, Forrest, and Katie, not including however many people saw the real security footage, and the people who constructed the fake footage, know about this. I guess all of these people are perfectly okay with covering up a murder for their employers because we never see or hear from any of them otherwise.
So the point is, if you're going to have a whole security team be aware of this ordeal, why not have a whole security team in all these other situations where having more people could be useful? Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but okay.
And yep, that's episode 3. Yikes.
Next time on DEVS.
I broke a rule today, too. Just now.